everybody, welcome back to Magenta Makes, and today I'm going to show you a few inspirational looks of table settings that you can use in your fairy house or your dollhouse. So I chose this one to start, and this one is my wooden place setting. And so we've started with these little wooden discs here. They're very inexpensive. We got those ones from Michael's, so I thought it looked a little bit like a plate, and so we do use them as plates. But it could also be a charger, like you see if you put a little bowl on there. And the little bowls also came from Michael's. They're not actually wood. They're made out of plastic, but they're meant to look like wood, and I think they do a pretty good job. We've also included, as part of our place setting, I put a little leaf, and I just grabbed a couple of leaves from outside in my garden. So we put some little leaves under there. Of course, you can use any leaves that you can find, as well as if you wanted it to be to last a lot longer, you could obviously use artificial leaves that come from the little fake flowers that you get from the dollar stores. Would work just great. I also have these little utensils. I'm not really sure. It sort of looks like a spatula, but I found a little bag of those in a thrift shop, and so I thought, well, I don't know, I guess you could eat some porridge or some rice with those, so I added those because they were also made out of wood. And then of course we added our little homemade buns that we made, as well as this jug is actually like a coated metal. The jug itself is metal, and it's just been coated in a little glaze. And so that's our first look. It's a very, woodland fairy, typical look that you might think that fairies would use to set their table. So that's look number one, and then we'll be back in a second with look number two. Alright, so here's table setting number two, and this is a china look, and I have a mishmash of different little china dishes. These little ones here, this is actually from a dollhouse, a doll china set, like a larger doll. And so this is actually the saucer from a little tea set, but it makes the perfect size dinner plate for the fairy house. And so we have a couple of those. And then these are just my little collection of the ceramic bowls that I collect from the little incense kits. So it's a little incense holder that holds the cones of incense. So I have a few of those, and I just like to mix and match. I think they look really, really nice. And then what else do we have here is a little miniature ceramic jug, and I guess it's starting to come off, but I guess it used to say #1 teacher. I thought that was an adorable little jug. And of course our little thrifted brass goblets. And so since we have bowls, I thought, okay, we have our little soup pot. So the fairies are having soup tonight, and lots of bread to go with their soup. And the bread is sitting in a little terracotta tray that actually came with, it had these little terracotta pots all lined up. I think there were 3 or 4 little terracotta pots. And so I just thought that would be a great little food serving dish. And so this is our second look that you can put together for your fairies or your dolls. Very inexpensively with thrifted finds. There's our china look, and we'll have another look coming up next. Okay, so here's our next look, and this table setting is what I like to call natural materials. And so what could be more natural than seashells? So all the little bowls are actually little seashells, and of course depending on what kind of seashells you find or you have access to, they may look like little bowls, or they may be flat like plates. Sometimes you can just gather them at the beach depending on where you live, or you can buy them. A lot of times you can buy a bag of them in the dollar stores for $1, and you'll get a whole bag full to choose from. So that's what we've used for our little bowls here. And then also I've used our little food serving dish is also a seashell. It's a bigger one, little clamshell, I think it is. And then for our little teacups or coffee cups, we're just using an acorn cap that's had the little branch, the little stem cut off so that it'll sit nicely on the table. And then of course we have our little copper, it looks like copper and brass coffee server or teapot, depending on what you're having. And so I thought that was a nice little addition, so we can have our coffee in little acorn caps. So that's our natural materials table setting for the fairy house. And then we have one more coming up. Alright, so we're back with our final look, and this one is dessert. And so what we've done here is we've used this little serving dish that we have here. That's one of the little containers that holds the little incense kit. So we'll come with incense and then the little dish that we used earlier, a little china dish in there to hold the incense cones. So I like to make use of that as a serving tray, and it really works well. And we filled it with some little Fimo strawberries, some acorns of course, and if you get the acorns and the caps come off, you can just hot glue them back on. They look really cute. You can also buff them up a little bit. They have a little bit of a waxy coating, so you can buff them up and hot glue the caps on so they stay on. And then we have some sugar cookies, and we made these in a previous video, dollhouse miniature sugar cookies, and then a little Fimo pie that we like to always have in the dollhouse. And I forgot to mention when we used them last time, but these are these little placemats are some little cork labels. They're little stickers that we got at the dollar store, and they come in a package like this. And so it just says cork stickers, and then you get a variety of them. Of course, the smaller ones were taken out. We got 3 in a pack, and they were pretty expensive. I think they were 75 cents or something like that. So we bought 2 packs so that we would have 6 little cork placemats, and I think they look really, really nice. They look natural, and they go really well with this table setting especially. And our little bowls that we have here, or our dessert plates, are actually ones that I made out of clay. We took a little pottery class, and we made lots of nice, you know, big size things at pottery class. But then I also wanted to make a few items for the fairy house, and they turned out really well. But you don't have to use the kind of clay that you'd have to fire in a kiln and glaze. You can make these with any kind of dough that you or clay that you bake in the oven. Like Fimo, or even the salt dough that we use for the sugar cookies would do a nice job. And then if you want it to be shiny, you could paint it with some kind of glossy paint, or even nail polish works. So there you have it. There's our final look for the fairy house. Of course, there are thousands of ways that you can set your fairy house table. These were just 4. So I hope that you took some inspiration from that, and you'll come up with your own amazing curated looks for setting your dollhouse, and switch it up and have a look out there. There's a lot of things to be found in the thrift shops and even out in your backyard that would be amazing table settings for your fairy house. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you next time on Magenta Makes, guys. So here's a little collection of pots and pans that I found at a thrift shop, and I actually found these. They were all hot glued down onto like a little, you know, like a little curio case, something that you would hang on the wall, and someone actually like glued them down with some glue. But I grabbed it anyway because it was only like $1 or $2, and I thought that would be that's a lot of little pots and pans that we could definitely use. And it's not that hard to get the glue off. A lot of times you can just sort of pry it off, and with these ones that's what I did do. But as you can see, there's so many different little objects that are so great. Little jugs and little teapot, and there's some lids for those. So I thought that was definitely, and that's definitely, I always keep my eye open for miniatures in any form that can be used in fairy house or the doll house that are inexpensive, because this is definitely a really good haul for a couple of dollars. I think if you set out to buy these individually, you'd be paying a lot more than that. And then another a couple of things I have here. I have a couple of packets that I did find at thrift shops, and one of them is something I mentioned in a previous video, and it's a little incense packet. And if I just open it up, it has a nice little ceramic dish inside, and that's really the thing that I bought it for. So I paid $1 for that one, and actually I may even have paid a little bit less because sometimes they go on a little the clearance. So that's when I like to get those two. Let me just snip this open, and then I'll show you. You get a couple of good things when you get these little incense packets, but I really love the little ceramic dish that's inside. Now this one is actually identical to one that I have already, and they're made out of ceramic, little clay dish, and it's glazed quite nicely, and it has a little design in the glaze. And so I just love those little ones, and we use them all the time, and whenever I find them I get those. Of course you get all this incense, which it smells nice. You can use it or you can discard it, whatever you'd like to do. Now this particular little holder, it seems to have come apart. The glue didn't hold, but I have another one that's similar, and these I thought can be used. You could just glue that back together with a little bit of hot glue or wood glue. That would be wouldn't take much. You could take all these things out, and then I thought you could use that as a nice food server. Maybe put your breads or your buns in there, which would be very nice. And you could, that would be a very good centerpiece for a long banquet table. So there's always that, and I'll definitely keep that and use that. And then we have this other packet here of little wooden objects that I got. I also got this one for $1 in my favorite thrift shop in town. And this one is really super cute, and I had to have this because I really love the wooden objects. So this one had some adorable little objects in there. So we've got a little wooden goblet, which is adorable, a little bucket, so you could definitely add that to your kitchen. And this is some kind of little urn or pot. It could be, to hold spices or foods in your kitchen, in your dollhouse kitchen or your fairy house kitchen. A lovely little rolling pin. That's adorable. Love that. Nice and sturdy. Little wooden bowl. Nicely turned little wooden bowl. It's gorgeous. And then this adorable little strainer. I don't know if you can see the little netting in the bottom there, but it's a perfect little strainer. So adorable for sifting, I guess, for all your baking activities that you'll be doing in your kitchen. So I just wanted to show you some of my finds, and I'm always keeping my eye open for these. So that's a really great deal for these little objects for $1, and I'm happy to pay $1 even for just this little bowl to add to my collection, and we'll be setting a table with those. So for sure, I'm always keeping my eye open because I just love these. I think they're adorable.